Imagine opening a pack of hot dogs, bacon, or canned meat. Have you ever wondered exactly what turns fresh meat into processed meat? We hear the term everywhere. Limit processed meat. Avoid ready-to-eat foods. But how many truly understand the meaning behind that label? Is it just meat that isn't fresh? Is everything made in a factory automatically toxic? The practical truth is that processed meat has travelled with humans for thousands of years, long before electricity or refrigerators existed. It began as a tool for survival. But in the modern world, its true nature has been completely altered by industry. Let's strip away the chemical layers to understand what we are actually putting into our bodies. Today, QC Project, Simple Things, decodes the paradox behind the name processed meat. In essence, processed meat is any meat that no longer remains in its original natural state. To put it simply, the line between fresh and processed meat isn't about whether you cut or grind it, but about what you have added to it. If you simply take fresh meat and grind it for a burger, it is still original meat. But the moment you add salt, preservatives, or use smoke to prevent spoilage and enhance flavour, that meat officially enters the processed category. At its core, this is a method where humans use chemical interventions to suspend natural decay. When meat is cured with nitrites to keep it pink or smoked to dry it out, we aren't just cooking, we are altering the meat's structure to resist bacteria and time. The result is a food that is more convenient and lasts much longer, but is far removed from what nature originally provided. Processed meat didn't begin in modern factories. It was born from a brutal survival riddle thousands of years ago. Imagine the long winters when fresh game vanished. Preventing meat from rotting wasn't a choice. It was the thin line between life and death. It all started with strokes of accidental luck. Our ancestors noticed that meat inadvertently buried in salty coastal sand or slabs hung over smoky hearths remained perfectly edible months later. This was the discovery of the power of salt and smoke. By the Roman era, this had evolved into a sophisticated art. They even mastered using special mineral salts to keep the meat vibrantly pink and deepen its flavour, the direct ancestor of the nitrates we use today. The real explosion, however, came in the 19th century with the advent of canning technology. Initially, it was a way to supply protein to armies on long campaigns, but when merged with the power of the Industrial Revolution, the game changed forever. What was once a labour-intensive preservation skill at home moved onto mass production lines, ushering in the era of convenience while leaving us with a lingering question about the authenticity of what we consume every day. To understand why a slice of sausage remains indifferent to time, we must look at how humans control the most vital element of life: moisture. At this stage, salt acts as a biological magnet. Through osmosis, salt directly draws water molecules out of the meat cells and, more importantly, out of the bacteria themselves. Deprived of their life-sustaining water, bacteria fall into a state of total paralysis. They can no longer multiply or function to spoil the meat. This is the fundamental step in transforming perishable food into a stable, lasting structure. While salt focuses on dehydration, nitrites take on a more critical task: confronting silent killers. This compound prevents the growth of botulinum, the most dangerous agent of food poisoning that often hides in oxygen-deprived environments. Moreover, nitrites act as a visual guardian by binding tightly with protein molecules to lock in the vibrant pink colour. Without them, the meat would rapidly oxidize, turning grey and smelling rancid as soon as it makes contact with the air. The final layer of protection is completed through the smoking process. Wood smoke does more than provide a rich aroma. It contains hundreds of natural compounds that kill mold and microbes directly on the surface. As the heat and smoke dry the outer layer, the meat forms a tough armor. This casing acts as both a physical barrier and a chemical shield, blocking any invasion from the outside environment. It is this rhythmic combination of dehydrating, color locking, and surface sealing that puts the meat into a state of suspended decay, defeating the natural laws of rot. The production of processed meat is a fusion of food engineering and precise economic calculation. The first and most vital step is ingredient blending. This is where manufacturers utilize meat trimmings, fat, and connective tissues that are difficult to sell fresh. These are ground and kneaded with salt, spices, and binders to create a uniform mass. The texture we recognize in sausages or canned meats. This process not only lowers costs but also optimizes protein sources, ensuring no part of the animal goes to waste. Once shaped, the meat undergoes thermal treatments like steaming or smoking to eliminate microbes and develop its signature flavor. However, to maintain that quality for months, the packaging stage is the ultimate key. Processed meats are typically vacuum sealed or placed in multi-layer packaging with absolute oxygen barrier properties. Removing oxygen prevents fat from turning rancid and keeps the meat's color vibrant. For canned goods, the high-temperature sterilization process after sealing turns the tin into an impenetrable fortress against external bacteria. It is this investment in packaging and oxygen-locking technology that allows these products to travel the globe without constant reliance on refrigeration. The most common misconception regarding processed meat is placing all the blame on chemicals. Many believe that if we strip away preservatives like nitrites, the meat becomes perfectly safe. The truth is, without these compounds, the risk of botulinum poisoning skyrockets, a neurotoxin far more lethal than any additive. The real debate isn't about the presence of chemicals, but about dosage and cooking methods. When nitrite-cured meat meets high heat, like frying until burnt or direct flame grilling, it converts into nitrosamines, compounds proven to be carcinogenic. Thus, the culprit isn't always the meat itself, but how we treat it in the pan. Another equally controversial myth is the over-glorification of artisanal or traditional meats. We assume that smokehouse meats or ancient salt-cured hams are inherently healthier than industrial canned goods. In reality, natural wood smoke contains significant amounts of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, highly toxic combustion byproducts. While modern factories can control pure smoke concentrations, traditional methods sometimes leave the meat soaked in massive amounts of unmeasured impurities. Finally, there is the debate over food economics and ethics. Some label processed meat as food junk because it utilizes trimmings, fat, and byproducts. Yet, from another perspective, this is the pinnacle of our ancestors' resourcefulness and respect for food. Rather than wasting scraps, they found ways to turn them into sausages or canned meats that last. The problem isn't the meat scraps, but the excessive use of fillers, flavorings, and sodium to mask low-quality ingredients. This is a never-ending battle, forcing us to choose between convenience, affordability, and long-term health. In the modern world, processed meat has shed its survival food label to become a symbol of convenience and efficiency. You see it everywhere, from the slice of ham in a rushed morning sandwich to the crispy bacon in an English breakfast and the canned meats stocked in every household pantry. It is the perfect solution for a fast-paced life where people need abundant protein but have very little time to prepare it. But beyond convenience, processed meat is an inseparable part of our cultural heritage. Every nation has its own statement through the way they process meat. The Italians take pride in salami, the Spanish have their jamon, and the Vietnamese are deeply connected to lap cheong and nem chua. It is more than just food. It is how we preserve the flavors of the past within an industrial context. Today, choosing a type of processed meat is not just about filling your stomach. It reflects your lifestyle, whether it's an elegant charcuterie board for a party or a simple bowl of instant noodles with a sausage during a late-night work session. In any form, processed meat is always around us, silently shaping the culinary culture of the 21st century. After all the theories on history and science, how do you know if you're holding a premium product or just a mass of cheap additives? Apply the 10-second rule at the supermarket shelf. In those 10 seconds, ignore the flashy illustrations on the front, flip the package over and look directly at the ingredient list. A value-for-money processed meat must have meat as its first ingredient, ideally 70 to 80% or higher. If the top of the list is water, starch or soy protein, it's a sign of a product using fillers to mimic fullness. Next, count the additives. If the list is a long string of chemical codes, harder to read than a medical textbook, take it as a red flag. Finally, observe the color under natural light. Quality ham or sausages usually possess a natural pale pink hue rather than a plastic-like vibrant pink. These 10 seconds of observation not only protect your wallet, but are your way of curating safety for your body in a market saturated with industrial intervention. In the end, processed meat isn't an enemy to our health, but a testament to human survival ingenuity spanning thousands of years. It provides us with convenience, flavor, and a timeless shelf life. However, the line between a life-enhancing tool and a health hazard lies in the user's understanding. The message here isn't about boycotting, but about control. Don't choose a food just because it's fast or cheap. Choose it because you truly understand what's inside that packaging. Once you master the knowledge of how it's made, you are no longer a passive consumer, but the true master of your own table. If you enjoyed this story, tell us in the comments what simple thing we should explore next. Your idea might become our next episode. This is QC Project, Simple Things. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the simple things in everyday life. Because what you see is never the whole story. There's always something deeper beneath the surface. See you in the next one.